Yeah, we got a big show, so let's dive right into it, guys. First topic of the day brought to us by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season, whether you're following the NFL, NBA, or both. There's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried out Prize Picks yet, it's the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play from anywhere Prize Picks operates. Download the Prize Picks app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after you play your first 5. Prize Picks, it pays to be right.
G. Bush going with the Charles Bronson from the Magnificent Seven look today.
He looks terrific.
Right? Like, y'all, what y'all got to get
It's always Halloween with G. Bush.
What y'all got to get is,
I can't pull that off.
Underneath, like, this is 3/4. Like, you know what I'm saying? This, like, ain't just.
Oh, it's like the.
Oh, it's 3/4.
shawl.
You know what I'm saying? It's like a. It's like.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Comes down to like the mid calf in the back.
What does?
Or knee,
the
back.
Yeah, the jacket.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The
but
kimono.
But it's like like an Apache or like a tribal joint, but it's a hood on the back.
So I like it. Looks
a
very
hood on the
comfy.
joint.
You know what you should have done is go like an 8-day growth.
This all I got. I can't do 8
If
grades.
you didn't shave for 8 days, is that all you're gonna
That's
have?
all I got, man.
Really?
Really? Wow, that's interesting.
I told Tyvus, if I had Tyvus's beard, he'd be out of here. Everybody.
Tyvus's beard game, I have to say, his beard
strong.
game's
Like,
unbelievable.
Very
I
strong.
don't like that.
Yeah.
But if I had the beard, it'd be over. But I had to do it.
You've even got folks at home can't see this. I can. You've even got the bandana do-rag look going on underneath there.
Oh yeah, man. That's that. Shout out to D'Angelo. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
You know, D'Angelo passed away. You know what I'm saying? So
Next level stuff.
This was his look. So I'm just out here just trying to
Homage.
make it. You know, homage.
Yeah, looks good, G. Looks good. We got 2 hypothetical topics to start today's show. Then we're going to dive into some legitimate X's and O's.
Oh,
X's and
stop
O's
whining,
stuff.
Jason. We were this morning.
He's got hypothetical
Hey,
fatigue.
Bobo, save the
I'll
story
set it up when we get to
we
it.
get
Go
to the next
ahead.
topic. The first topic we are
Yeah.
going to get to has to do with the Browns quarterback. And G, I want to start with you on this one.
Oh goodness.
Shedeur did not start until the game against the Raiders. We went through Joe Flacco, then Dylan Gabriel, and then it was Shedeur's chance. And over the course of his 3 games, we've seen steady improvements leading up to what we saw against Tennessee, which was clearly the best game he's played as a professional quarterback. Do you believe that if Shedeur had started from week 1, G, he would have had that same linear progression, or would have taken longer for Shedeur to get to the point where he could throw for 365 yards and 3 touchdowns, run for another in a game? Would it be the same success and same progression that he started in week 1?
I've always said from the beginning. I'll give a story. I've always said, you know, what happens, and it happens for for a reason. I believe that God puts everybody in a position where they're supposed to be at and what they need to go through. And a lot of times people will try to fast forward the process. You know what I'm saying? You may think, you know, you want to be at a certain places, but sometimes it's better for you to start someplace and then end somewhere else, because that's the progression you had to go through. I always talk about the situation when Baker Mayfield didn't work out for him, but if he didn't have those situations where it didn't work out for him, he wouldn't have the success he has now. Same with guys like Sam Darnold. So for me, as much as, and I've said this from the beginning, as much as, you know, people may, you know, wanted to see him play, or much as he wanted to see him play, he said himself that, you know, being in this position and being in a place where he did have to sit and he did have to deal with the frustration, and he did have to understand certain things. Those things go into who he is today. So I'm a firm believer that you can't reset nothing. You can't say coulda, woulda, shoulda. But the best thing, you know, that the plan was, and it ain't my plan, it ain't your plan. You know, I believe it's the higher powers plan. So all you can do is just make the best of your opportunities, go out there, practice hard, and then when you get your opportunities and shots, see what you could do with them. So I'm not one of them people that go back and be like, you know, if he was doing this from day one. Hey, look, I wanted to have a full-time radio show, but I didn't get it. And so I went through a different process, and I ended up on this show. I wouldn't trade being on the radio for doing this, right? So everything that I put my life work into before, now it's transpired into me doing this now. So, you know, I think he's, you know, he'll have ups and downs, and, you know, he's not going to throw for 390 yards every single week. He's a rookie. He'll still do those things. But I think whether we know it or whether he knows or anybody knows it, it was the plan, and it's the only way that could happen.
I think you never know because this is speculation. But I think that it definitely benefited him. We've seen a lot of young quarterbacks, even first-round picks, plenty of first-round picks, who didn't play right away and had success. Now, there's plenty of guys that started right away and did have success too. But because, Shedeur Sanders had only played for his dad before now. So first of all, unlike every other player probably in football, he had to adjust to a new coach. Like, he's probably the only player in the NFL that had the same coach in high school and college.
Yeah.
Right?
His whole life.
Yeah, his whole life. His dad's been coaching him. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just an adjustment to another coach. And every other player has had adjustments to other coaches before. So that was something new for him. And clearly, like there is with every young quarterback, there are parts, no young quarterback comes into the game a finished product, right? Most veterans are not a finished product for a number of years. So there were parts of his game that needed to improve, and probably the extra time that he had before he started gave him an opportunity to start working on those things, to be more focused on those things to improve rather than the game plan for this team. And you have more time to focus on yourself and as opposed to the team when you're not the starter. So we'll never know, obviously, but I think it in the long run it did benefit him to not start right away.
I think a lot of quarterbacks, I think you mentioned this.
Yeah.
Probably all quarterbacks could benefit from sitting and watching for at least a little while. That just doesn't happen with high picks because the owner pressure and everything else to get them out there. The only thing I would say to this is, Andrew Berry went on the broadcast in the preseason and said it's like going from learning English to learning Mandarin from where he was coming from. Remember that? Like, Kevin is Satan, right? Like, Kevin hates him, but Barry loves him, right? Is that what we're going with?
That seems to be the narrative.
And Andrew is the one who said from the college system he was in, it's like learning English to Mandarin. Well, how fluent was he in Mandarin in September? I don't know the answer to that, but I'm guessing he's more fluent now than he was in September. Yeah. So take that for what you will.
Yeah, I agree. I think all of these answers have been right. First of all, it's hypothetical, so how the hell do we know?
Yeah, I love hypotheticals.
Yeah,
and Mike's
you talk about, you might as well close your
just
eyes,
a double
take
dose.
a dart, and throw it at a board with predetermined answers on the dartboard.
Mike's just taking a double-barreled shotgun and hit me right in the face.
Jason, you did this to me today.
That is sports talk, guys.
I didn't do this to myself.
Sports talk is mostly hypothetical.
And the reason why I get such fatigue in living in that world is because it's hypothetical. And I know we're all supposed to give educated guesses, and that's what these are. We're using the knowledge that we've gained through our lifetime of watching football, and we're trying to apply it to the future. The one thing that I really want to drive home today is that we're talking about the most difficult position to project in all of sports. I don't think there's a valid argument for any other position in terms of projecting what a player's going to be. 1 minute, Josh, who was the quarterback? Somebody said
Rosen.
Josh Rosen was thought of as he's a can't-miss NFL prospect. The next moment, he's at the Wharton School. Life comes at you fast. And it's really, really difficult to project what these players are going to do on a career arc. And I'm going to go a step further. I'm going to say week to week. Sometimes I watch Josh Allen, and I'm like, who is this guy? Other times I watch Josh Allen and think he should have 4 Super Bowl rings already. So the reason I bring up Josh Allen is because he's at the top end of the sphere. And then if we bring in Shedeur, if you just go like on QBR ratings and what he's done so far, he would be at the bottom end of this gap of quarterbacks. And I don't know what the heck either one of them are going to do on Sunday. I don't know that anybody does. If they did, they'd live in a palace because they beat Vegas every single week. This is hard work, projecting and pontificating and hypothesis and all of that nonsense. All of that being said, I just think that the general thing that you said is what I would hold on to. Well, of course you're going to benefit from more time in the system. Mm-hmm. And if Andrew Berry's comparison is correct, and I think it's close, when you talk about learning English to Mandarin, the learning curve at that position is just we can't get our heads around it, how great it is. So I do think that any time sitting and watching and absorbing is going to benefit young quarterbacks. I give you Green Bay as the absolute high end of that spectrum. Brett Favre was there, and Aaron Rodgers watched for years under him and came in and had great success. And then Jordan Love had to sit behind Aaron Rodgers. They've got a plan. They've got a system, and they stick to it. I imagine when they draft their next quarterback, he'll sit behind Jordan Love for a few years before he's handed the reins. That's a smart way to hand off the reins. The way the Browns and many other teams have done it is probably the worst way you can do it. Been in the system 3 weeks, it's your team. Been in the system 8 weeks, it's your team. But the reason they do it that way is because they've got a losing culture. They lose a lot. Their quarterbacks get hurt. At the beginning of the year when they drafted 2, I said they're going to need to. That all these quarterbacks are going to play, and they have. So now, if he had played Tennessee in week 4, which was the week that he got to see Tennessee in his career, he may have done the same thing against Tennessee. But he might also have a QBR of 20 like he does now.
I think let's put it into a little bit of context here too. I get that we always say that you're supposed to sit. We want people to sit, and you can kind of. I'm a firm believer that you don't learn anything by sitting.
Anything?
No.
Wow.
You can.
Okay, that's dramatic.
I feel like you have to be an active participant in what you're doing. I just watched a documentary about the dude who did free solo. He's free solo El Cap, which is a mountain in, I guess, Yosemite National Forest, whatever. It's a famous YouTube. He's on Netflix, but he talked about it, and he was answering a bunch of questions from rock climbers and mountain climbers, and they were asking him, what exercises do you do to strengthen your hands, or what exercises do you do for your grip and your footing, and how do you get over the initial fear of, when you get so high and then you don't have a good footing. And he just answered it in the simplest way, and I thought this applies to a lot of things in life. He said, if you want to be better at mountain climbing, climb a lot of mountains. If you want to be better at rock climbing, rock climb. If you want to be better at quarterback, yes, you do have to do the whiteboard stuff, but you have to be in the game. What you see with Shedeur Sanders is not a product of him just sitting there waiting. What you see with Shedeur Sanders is the product of him playing against the Baltimore Ravens and seeing the speed of the game. Then coming back and seeing another team in the Raiders, and then seeing what they did. And then coming back again, seeing the 49ers. And as you continue to get the speed of the game, you grow exponentially to understand what the quarterback position is and what you need to do in order to maximize
I agree with that. There's no substitute for real life experience. I 100% agree with that. Your growing curve and your arc is far greater when you're doing it. But to say that you learn nothing from observing, I would strongly, vehemently disagree
or practicing.
with that. Well, the whole thing.
I think nothing is too strong.
Yeah, nothing is
you learn less from doing that.
Sure, of course. I agree.
think I'll say the most pivotal times that you learn stuff is by doing it.
Oh, fact. I agree.
Now for him, I think he did get some mental and psychological thing that deals with a lot, is because when you're dealing with mental and psychologically, you're dealing with the fact that, you've always been around your family. You're not around your family. You're dealing with media stuff. Now you're dealing with the fact that you have a quarterback that was drafted in the same round ahead of you. So now there's all kind of things that you get from that, and you have to emotionally and psychologically go through that. But I think physically, for any quarterback, Sean King talks about it. It's the reps, it's the practice, it's the repetition, it's going through the weeks, it's knowing that you're the guy, and then having to put the game plan in, and then going to everybody else on the team and having those guys building you. That's what I'm saying specifically.
Live fire. Yeah. And there is no substitute for live fire. I remember when Sean came in Tampa, I think it might have been week 11. I could be off on that. Feels like it was around week 11. When he came in, one of the big talking points, not just from Sean, but the media and the coaching staff, was how much he had benefited from being there watching, as opposed to him being starter day one when the season began. There's a lot that goes into that. You also can learn from watching someone else make a mistake. That's valuable. And so I just think film study, practice, no, you're not getting the reps, and no, you're not getting the live fire. And there is no substitute for that. I would agree 100% with that. But I also believe in sports, in life in general, There are a lot of lessons that can be learned by standing on the sidelines and by observing people.
I think especially you're going to learn more from Joe Flacco than you are going to from watching Dylan Gabriel.
100%.
Right? Because Joe Flacco's done it all, seen it all.
Yeah.
He's been there. So
I would agree
maybe
with
there who knows? There's always a chance that a rookie picks up some little thing from a veteran that we wouldn't even think about. I don't know, whatever it might be.
Talk to Bernie about the role Gary Danielson played in his progression. He credits him for a lot of his early success.
Well, it's fast. Like, would Jordan Love have been the same quarterback had he started his rookie year? Would Aaron Rodgers have been the same had he started his rookie? I don't know. We'll never know.
I mean, there's plenty of rookies who did start right away and had success.
But the thing with Green Bay, why they're such
they just seem to those guys. Like, we talk about quarterback play a lot of times like
but
this.
Jordan Love's been up and down.
Yeah, but
I wouldn't compare Jordan Love to Aaron Rodgers.
I think Love's been pretty consistent.
Consistently okay.
He's been consistently in the top 10, but
I don't agree with that at all.
Jay, your point is interesting because as you look around the NFL, and particularly at quarterback play, and Baker's a great example of this, but there are many others. Right? Let's go to the top and go to Patrick Mahomes. The league, I keep saying this, the league has adapted to what the throwing quarterbacks and the passing offenses have done. And what they've pretty much done is said, we're going to give you the 5-yard stuff. Look at anybody's passing chart. Patrick Mahomes. You don't see the deep shots anymore like you used to in the NFL.
Not like you did 5 years ago.
Not even close. And so I think what that's led to is this quarterback play that is incredibly erratic. You can point to anybody in the NFL. Which quarterback? In Baltimore, they're saying, what's wrong with Lamar Jackson? In Buffalo, as good as Buffalo is, they're not leading their division. And a lot of Bills fans that I talk to say, as much as we love Josh Allen is a boom or bust kind of quarterback. And so
I think that's unfair.
I just think we didn't got spoiled.
We did by the quarterback era. We did.
You had time. Like, so you take a look at it. You get the golden age of quarterbacks where you go from Montana, then you go and then you start getting the era where at one point in time you had
Brady, Manning, Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers,
Roethlisberger, all those guys at one time.
It's not that game anymore.
And now, and plus the defenses, they get paid too. These guys is world-class athletes. And I think when you take a look at what's happening up front, when now your best athletes used to be corners and running backs, your best athletes are now linebackers and specifically defensive linemen.
Pass rushers.
That puts a lot on your plate.
I wanted to message Dane Brugler on this, and I haven't yet. But I'm curious. It feels like we're in a little bit of a lull of just quarterback development. And I don't know if you guys would agree with that or not.
I would, but a lot of the blame on that goes to the shift in the college game.
Well, but that
pro quarterbacks and executives have been saying for not quite a decade, but close. They're giving us raw products.
Well, usually, like, if there's a bad quarterback crop one year, it normally is better the next.
Typically.
And last year was mid, like Cam Ward, and then Jackson Dart. That was it. And I said for a year I felt like this class is going to be better. And I think the draft people feel like Mendoza at the top is better than Cam Ward. But I'll be the first to admit, I thought there'd be 4 or 5 names.
I did too.
And that's not the case. So this is now everyone's saying, look at the 27, and we just keep pushing it out.
But 2 years ago, there was 3 quarterbacks that are looking good. I mean, Daniels has been hurt this year, but
Jaden's been hurt, and then Drake May's great,
and Caleb Williams,
and Caleb, but it just feels like Mahomes, Allen, and Lamar have been the standard for quite a number of years now, and maybe that's unfair. Maybe I'm wrong.
And Burrow.
And Burrow, yeah, of course. Sorry, got to get your guy in there, but it
might
just
not be Bulls guy much longer.
But maybe if Jaden Daniels is healthy, he breaks through next. I don't know. It just feels like the standard has been the standard names for quite a while now. And like I thought C.J. Stroud was going to break into that, and then he kind of slipped, and now he's
Well, and Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah,
and
I never liked Trevor.
Well, but he did have some. He had success. I mean, there was a year where he was a Pro Bowl quarterback, and he looked like, that's the guy we saw at Clemson.
But I haven't totally figured it out. Where I'm trying to go with it.
Yeah.
But it just feels like the standard of quarterback play is still the guys from like 6, 7, 8 years ago.
I would agree with that.
Can I add on to that?
I would agree with that. Although Derek May might be.
But this idea that Josh Allen is not consistent is not accurate.
I'm not saying it is. I'm putting him in that Mahomes, Allen, Lamar category.
And the reason I throw Josh in there is because to me, Josh, I'm going to ride or die with Josh Allen. Okay, I love Josh Allen. Give me Josh Allen all day, all night. But I have some friends that are Bills fans that are a little fatigued that his interception number continues to be where it is.
Well,
now, you live with that.
He threw 6 picks last year.
That's crazy.
Over the last 3 years, going back to the start of the 23 season, I believe he has 34 picks.
Yes.
He has more picks than Baker Mayfield does.
But
Going back there.
He had 18 in one of those seasons.
Right. And so the reason I say that is because when I look at the Bills, I'm frustrated by the Bills. I think they should be a better team. And they may I think they can still win the division. And I think they're the best team in the division. But they haven't they've just scratched the surface of their potential. I would think that he would have had a Super Bowl appearance by now.
Well, he had Mahomes in the way. I mean,
He did, but he doesn't this year.
It's 0% his fault that they haven't gotten to the Super Bowl. 0% on Josh Allen.
I'm not going to say zero.
All right, I'm tired of talking about Josh Allen.
No.
Yeah, it doesn't,
Hold on.
advance our conversation at all.
The Bills and
Jason, to your
Chiefs.
point, though, about
The
development.
Bills and Chiefs played an AFC Championship game where Josh Allen played one of the
Played out of
greatest
his
games
mind.
in the history of football.
Second greatest.
Okay, but
Patrick Mahomes.
how would you blame him?
Bull, I'm not
Josh
saying I
Allen's
blame
played
him for
great in
that.
the playoffs.
I'm not saying I blame
and
him
your
for that
interception statistic is totally misleading because that was all from 23. Last year, he only
Not
threw
all
6.
of them, half of them. He's got 34. He threw 18 in 23.
Jay, he's thrown 16 interceptions in the last 2 years. That's not that many.
No, but still, I went back to the 23 season.
Who cares about 23? That was 1 year.
The reason
that was
I
the
bring
only
him up, Bull, is because go ask Bills fans. Talk to Bills fans.
Okay.
Why don't we talk about
we have
Josh
Dustin
Allen?
on the show.
Yeah, I agree with you.
These Bills fans.
I brought up Josh Allen to
These
make
Bills
a point.
fans.
We let the
quarterback
Muppets drive
play in
the
the
car. That's how we
NFL
got
is like
here.
this.
No offense to your
We
friends,
let
but they're
Waldorf
not
and
the
Statler
if they're
drive the car.
complaining
Here we
about
are.
Josh Allen, they're not the sharpest tools in the shed.
But it can-
Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the NFL. Frankly, it's not close. He's
he?
got virtually no talent around him on offense. They've got nothing.
Is
This
he the
is-
best quarterback in the NFL?
I don't think it's
why
close.
I
Who's
always
better?
say, guys,
won rings.
When people say this team's
Yeah.
bad, this team's good, this guy's great, I say, bro, it's the NFL. Everybody is good. Like, you're not going to come out and throw for 10,000 yards.
No.
Like, it's hard. This game is hard. It's parity. It's the reason why everybody loves the game, and
Yeah.
it's the reason why it's difficult to win.
And even the guys that find success still taste enough failure that
Yes,
make you look
And that's
at it
always
and say,
been the case.
But with Brady and Manning and those guys, and I think Jason made this point, or maybe it was you, the golden age of the quarterbacks. When we were in that age, you knew who the guys were, and they were the guys for more than a decade.
And we still know who they are.
But Jason's point was,
Yeah.
we haven't cycled through those guys that have been those guys for the last 6 years.
I thought more young
Where's
guys.
the next?
I thought more young guys would have joined.
I
group
would
by
have
now.
too.
It's too early.
How long is
John
he-
Elway didn't win squat until later in his career.
I know
But he was always considered elite, even though he had
So,
one.
so is this, and we have the same group. I don't
Is
understand.
C.J. Stroud elite?
No.
Okay.
We
That's
were-
what I'm saying. The younger guy.
You
the
said
young-
the group was changing every few years. No, it wasn't. It was Marino. It was Elway. It was all these guys.
All I'm saying is, I thought that some of the younger guys would have elevated to be.
I would have expected them to as well.
Which
that
younger
fringe.
guys?
Any of the guys in the last 5 years.
But the guys you've been talking about are in their second or third year in the league. I mean, it takes a little time.
I think Drake May is the one guy that's broken out, to me.
Well, we'll see. We'll see next year.
I know, because you know what? We thought we had that with other guys, too.
Yeah.
I thought last year I watched Jaden Daniels. I'm like, this guy's an MVP in his first 5 years.
Jaden Daniels has been hurt the whole season.
I know he has, but when
Yeah.
he's been healthy, he hasn't looked like the same
he
guy.
he hasn't been
CJ
healthy.
Stroud. I thought after watching him in his rookie season, I'm like, this guy's going to be an MVP.
Yeah, but he's playing well again.
Yeah.
Again, it's
Yeah.
the ebbs and the flows. It's the ups and the downs.
Same thing for those guys. Peyton Manning stunk his rookie season.
Mike,
but
where are you
once
going?
he got to the top, he stayed at the top with Brady.
He didn't get to the top
and with
in year two.
Roethlisberger.
It took a few years, and he's the greatest of all time.
He got
It's an
there
unfair
faster than
comparison.
he got there faster than you think.
Josh
He had a
Allen
terrible
has
rookie
no
season.
talent around him on the off. The Bills are a 3-win team without Josh Allen. 3 wins.
Mike, what were you going to say? No.
I was going to say that the Colts needed a quarterback, and instead of trusting any of the third stringers around the football league or any of the
Yep.
young guys, they went out and signed a 45-year-old Philip.
From the old golden age
Which
of
I
Who it
think-
looks like is going to start.
No, who is going
Is
to
starting.
start.
Did they name
Is
that?
going
Yes.
to start.
Oh, I
He's
didn't see
now
that.
on
Did you
the
see
bench.
him walk to the podium the other day?
No.
Fat.
I saw him
Big
at
guy.
the podium.
Big guy.
Greg Doyle, ask him how much you weigh.
He looks 240, right?
He said 239.
He looks like
Why
a
would you ask
linebacker.
him? He doesn't weigh 239. Guys are never honest about their weight.
I'm just saying what he said. I can't tell you
239.
exactly what
He don't weigh no
weighs.
239.
He said he wasn't sure. There's a clip I saw. He
Please.
said,
He
I don't
weighs
know.
260,
I just thought it was
265.
reported
Give
that
me
he
a
was
break.
240.